Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. My current blood sugar is sitting at 6.6, which isn't bad at all. I'm fully calibrated. I don't have any insulin any insulin active in my body. It's still all within the little pump here. Okay, bolus rates. There isn't any correction either. My basal rates here are actually working pretty well. It did break for a minute there around 5, but otherwise it's kept me under control. This is what I like to see at night. I always seem to sleep better. Who knew? But otherwise, it was pretty stable. This, I can bring it back. Pretty well looks the same. I had a little bit of a rise there, but all in all, time in range. Well, it's not 100. Sorry, but we're sitting at 97%, 3% above, 97% in range. This is a win. Remember a couple of days ago, I was up around 4, got that below 3.9. Average sugar is looking good. To me, this is a win. I feel better when I'm like this. But that can just be me. Who knows? Da-da-da. Now, let's take a look at these 3 lines up here. It's showing everything is working okay. I have a full battery life. I have 163.6 units. I have 84% life in my transmitter. And I have 6 days of calibration left. This is telling you your system is working, which is great. So, today, I want to discuss how to get a self-reliant T1D person. And is it helicopter parenting the correct way, or letting them go at it the correct way? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. This channel is provided for informational purposes only. Contact your physician for any diagnostic or treatment plan. Every adult who has a diabetic child wants their child to succeed in having perfect control. And many who look upon it want to know how the other parents get their children and teenagers, young teenagers now, to follow the rules, to take care of themselves. Well, I've acquainted it for myself that it was like my parents giving me the keys to my body, and I would just take insulin, I would eat. The food was kind of limited because my mom did most of the cooking, so I ate that. I also ate a little bit more at school, but that's a different story. But I would have high blood sugars. I used to, at a very young age, do a urine test, because that's the only way we could have ways of deciphering our sugar. Get 4% and change it to negative. didn't change. I just wrote it down as negative because I wanted everyone to think I was being the perfect diabetic. I didn't know what I was doing. My mom took care of the food until they left to go help build a school of natural resources. But I really didn't have anything. It's kind of hard. And I don't think it was neglect. I think I was becoming a young adult. And it was sort of like, here, you can take care of your diabetes. For a while, I lived with my father in Edmonton area. And the people we stayed with were pretty well responsible for making sure, I got up, I went to school, I had something to eat. But even them, when I came home and I had a simple cold, oh, you're not taking care of your diabetes. Everything was, you're not taking care of your diabetes. That's not what a teenager meant. Now, I didn't really get much support. I don't think my dad really understood type 1 diabetes. To be perfectly honest, he knew I had it. He knew you had to keep your blood sugars down, but he didn't know the intricate. As a young teenager, I probably wasn't following the guidelines. A life at that time as a type 1 diabetic is you woke up, you did a urine test. You used to have to do 2 voids. You had to go to the bathroom, then you had to come back 15 minutes later and try to go again. And you had to run your hands under warm water to stimulate. It was weird. Blood testing is so much better. It's also more acceptable now. You had to take your insulin, you had to eat, and then you had to eat in the morning, and then you had to have lunch, and then you had to eat in the afternoon, and then we were eating all day. If you didn't feel like eating, that was too bad. You had to eat. Even though you knew you were going to revisit things, you were still expected to eat. That was it. Blood sugars were the key. I had diabetes. I knew it. I took my insulin. I didn't know what my blood sugar was. How do you instill in a type 1 diabetic the thought and the patterns of getting out there, taking care of their diabetes? Well, you have to do it in digestible chunks. You can get up, you can take their blood sugar, making sure they do their blood sugars. Okay, but eventually you're going to have to let that go. And the way a friend of mine had it done with their young diabetic teenager was they do the blood test in the morning and they do blood sugar when they got home from school. The midday or lunchtime blood sugar was that person's responsibility. And they would check when they got home and say, okay, you were high. Really? What's the reason? Did you have too much, or did you not eat enough? And how can we stop this from happening again? It wasn't accusatory. That's the big thing. A lot of parents, it happens, can feel like their sons or daughters aren't doing enough. That they're not, well, they're not taking care of their diabetes. And to be perfectly honest, a lot of diabetics, young teenagers, won't say who, really don't care. Now it might be different with blood sugars, and I, at that age, treated diabetes as a mild pain in the butt. I had to stop. I had to take my insulin. I couldn't eat what everyone else was eating. I had to follow that plan. And if you make it very rule orientated, chances are your son or your daughter is not going to be as reliant as you hoped. Remember, there is going to be hiccups along the way. There's going to be some who take it like and run with it, and it's going to be awesome and awesome job. There's going to be others who the parents didn't really know what was going on, and my care was my responsibility. I got it when I was 13. So I was already maturing into an adult. But I wasn't interested. I was interested in cakes and cookies and all the influence. I was never sort of shown how to live a life with diabetes. Now, if you have a son or daughter who are entering the time where they have to take control, give it to them in digestible chunks. Give certain aspects and saying, okay, you can make your lunch, but let's just go over it. Let's see how you're doing. Praise them for the good things. Teach from the negative. And what I mean is, your blood sugars were excellent today. Great job. And when they're not, oh, I see you had a problem there. Any thoughts? Let them tell you, develop trust. Don't be sort of like, your blood sugar was out again. I told you, you just have to eat and do it right. That's not going to work. I had that approach. It wasn't until I was an adult that anyone talked to me about how I felt about my diabetes. And it was like, when I started taking care of myself and got into a routine as an adult, it was like night and day. All the time I felt like crap, and having high blood sugars disappeared. We want that earlier in life. Don't be so, oh, come on, you can do it. Why can't you just take your blood sugar? Why can't you just take your insulin? You also have to remember that growing up, they're going to go through puberty. They are going to have wild blood sugar sometime. It's nothing they did. It's all a part of their body. And I can tell you that parents can very easily say, oh, you're cheating. That's what I heard every 5 minutes. Oh, you're cheating. With what? I had one apple, let's say, with my snack. I was still hungry, had an apple. You're cheating. That didn't help. What that did was force my diabetes care underground. So diabetes care became secondary. I just we didn't really talk about it. It was just, how's it going with your diabetes? Oh, it's going okay. No one asked to look at my urine test. No one took a look at what I was eating. Your job as parents is to offer guidance. It's not to always be the critical, oh, you're not doing things right, or you're cheating. If you just did this, your life would be so much better. And even when I tried to do that, it wasn't. There were about 6-7 years where I just really didn't care. And then when I got out and working, there was just something. I got a new endocrinologist, and she showed me how I could really get my blood sugars. She also told me that these excuses I had, like, I don't know why my blood sugar went high, really wasn't acceptable. But she did it in such a better way by saying, we see we were a little high. What was the reason? What can we learn from that? And I started to learn things. I don't know everything about diabetes. I talk to you about my life in certain circumstances. Teenage years are hard. It's going to be hard on the family. It's going to be hard on you. Now, if you've had a child who's had diabetes since a young age, you've packaged it all up. You do things at a certain time, and everything's great because it's your schedule and it works for you. You have to install a schedule and how they do things for them. Because remember, the only reason they have to do control is for them. I've done videos on this, and it's not up to anything else. You having control will make you feel better. It will make you do better. It's not, you're going to lose an eye if you're going to keep having your blood sugars high. Scare routines don't work. Building trust with your son or daughter. Don't be so accusatory with them why their blood sugars are high. They can be high for many different reasons. One could be illness, one could be stress, one could be, yes, eating or cheating. But I think cheating is a minor. Support them. Don't accuse them, support them. Offer up explanations of how things are going. That will be the best thing possible from an ex-teen and a current diabetic. With that, I hope you have a super day, and we'll talk again soon. And I'll see you later. My next vlog topic will be Hey, tomorrow's video we're going to discuss what is it like without T1D? Oh, it's going to be wonderful, or we think. Our life may never be exactly the same, and I'll discuss why. That's tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or Pacific Standard Time. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk later. Bye now. My email is mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com. mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com.